and I am back with part 2 of the Bachelorette's Paradise. So this is going to be the interior for the build, and I would definitely class this build as a mansion. I think that even though it is on a 40 by 30, I think that it is still large enough to be a mansion, and it is a big modern home. I think it does end up with only 2 bedrooms, I believe, but I can't remember, because the rest of it is just going to be a ginormous party area with lots and lots of different things to do, mainly focused around activities and skills and fun things that I could include like that. I was also experimenting with the floor tiles, so I used a lot of the bright colours, like the bright purples and things. I actually did take them out during the end though. I think using the spooky stuff pack wallpapers was an interesting choice. So I did. The wallpaper that's got bats on, I used that, and I thought that it was actually a really cool look to the build, and it was just a way that I could use the spooky stuff pack again. And I've actually been thinking about a character that I would potentially move into this build. And I don't know yet. I mean, it's never going to be a Bachelor challenge or anything like that, just because I'm not that skilled. I'm seriously not. I'm still practicing with Let's Plays and things, but I'm just not ready for that. But yeah, I have been thinking about a certain character in my Let's Play at the moment, which might potentially live here when she's older. I don't know. We will see how that goes, but it's a potential. It's just an option which might happen eventually. I don't know where it's going to go. Of course, it might never happen, and that is probably the most likely thing ever, but I would definitely say that at the moment, I am thinking about it. What I was also doing is I was putting in some lights. I actually thought I would add the lights before I did most of the other features of the build. And that's because I wanted to brighten it up, especially as it is a very, very dark build. Itself, it's going to be very gloomy in a way, and I think that it still is very girly in the way that it does have bright pinks and purples, and it still has those pretty features in. But yeah, I think definitely something that was on my mind is brightening it up before I even started, because that is a main thing for me to do. Also checking that I didn't leave any places which were unwallpapered. I hate that when that happens. I hate when I find out that there's a certain part of the build which I just haven't remembered to put wallpaper on. So I was checking that a lot because it's very complicated, especially as everything's registered as a different room, so that can be pretty odd as well. And with the curves in a room as well, it can be a little bit difficult, but I think I did do it well in the end. I was also using some moving objects sheet. I thought by using moving objects sheet on the mirrors and also these shelves here would be quite a nice look to the build, and I was definitely happy with how the way that it looked in the end. So you'll see that. It was just a little border around it, and it just meant that I didn't have to have that horrible grey line which the mirrors do go off sometimes, and I actually prefer it as the way it is right now. I think it looks a lot better like that. Of course, I think that sometimes when you do put shelves together it can clip, but I actually tested it. I tested it quite a lot as well, and it turned out that it didn't clip, so I was actually really happy with that, and if you do use it, then I think that it will be okay, hopefully. What I was doing though is I was putting some sofas in. I thought pink, of course, some entertainment things, so football table or foosball, whatever you like to call it, put that in, and I also put an arcade table, which I thought was a really amazing idea. Especially for parties, because if you did have a lot of people around, maybe they'd want to go on it, and that would be an excuse to invite lots of people around. The family that I do have living in it at the moment are only there because when I like to adjust the lights for the build, it just makes it so much easier for me to do that, and it just means that I don't have to do any other things, and it just means that I don't have to spend a lot of time making a Bachelorette, things like that. It's just easier to have them there, so I did actually just leave them in. It's actually the BFF family, that's the plot that I'm using it on, and I think that that will hopefully help some people know which plot I'm actually using it on, because I think that that's sometimes helpful for people to know which bit I'm actually using it on. I was also planning out a dance floor though. I definitely wanted to have a dance area right here, so that's what I did use there. I used a DJ stand. Apologies for the noise in the background if you can hear any. I have really loud neighbours. They keep going back and forth on their tractors. It's the most distracting thing ever. But anyway, this was when I was putting in some sort of pictures here, and it was a area which I used moving objects on again. I did think about graffiti, but I actually thought no, because this house is supposed to look like it is a little bit classier. Not that graffiti's not classy or anything, but I think that for a graffiti venue that would look interesting to have it maybe as a teen hangout, and I don't think that this house would have it because it has all the best stuff in. So if it was done in an artistic way, then I would have left it in, but unfortunately I didn't feel like that was the case, so I took it out. I was also experimenting with the different banners though. I put in lots and lots of different ones, so some music ones, some romantic features, and I just left it like that. I was then onto this area, just adding the general things around this room here. I did actually put a pop of green in there, which I was pretty proud of. And the bathroom, of course. I just wanted a simple bathroom that would look pretty interesting. I'm trying to think if I know any bachelors. I don't think I do. I don't think I know anybody that would live here. I never went to school with anybody that was very promiscuous in the way that they would have a house like this and invite people back to it. I don't know. I never did. I never had anybody at school like that. And I think that if I did, then maybe I would style a character off them, just because a lot of my Sims are actually styled off people that I do actually know in real life. So that's interesting. In fact, Jane out of the Pomegranates, she is inspired by a girl that I went to school with. So pretty interesting fact there. But yeah, so I think that for that, I just have a lot of fun creating characters, backstories that I'm familiar with myself. If I was going to relate to a certain character in my LP, I think that I would relate to Jane more, but I also think from an earlier age, maybe Scarlett. I don't know, because I was quite shy growing up and I've always enjoyed art. So actually, maybe it would be a Scarlett. I'm not sure. This was a main bedroom though, so there are actually 2 bedrooms that look similar to this. There could actually be a double bachelor thing going on here. So maybe a bachelor could be in this room, maybe a bachelor could be in the room below. I don't know. That's what I would imagine. Oh no, there isn't a room below. It must be the room above them. All right, so maybe just 2 rooms, 2 bachelors out on the pool. Could be, could work. I'd love to know what you do with it if you do have a storyline like that. In fact, if you do, I'd love to see some photos on Twitter of the bachelor that you do put in here, or bachelorette rather. I think it could be really interesting. I was also planning this upstairs area. It was something that I just couldn't figure out how I wanted to do yet. I did know that I did want a DJ stand up here, and the reason is because I want there to be lots and lots of alternative skills. So not just the random ones that I usually just put in, like guitar building, art skill, stuff like that. I actually wanted this house to be a place where maybe the Sims would practice mixology or their DJing abilities, and maybe their agility. Is agility a thing? I don't know. I think that when you swim, that's sort of like agility. So fitness, that's it, fitness skill. Maybe that too. Maybe this house would be very based around those skills, even though I did put in an easel and just various items throughout, which might help with other ideas. I don't know. I don't know what these people would do for careers as well if I was to move Sims in. Maybe they would be diamond agents. That would be pretty interesting. Maybe they'd have loads and loads of diamonds around the house. I think I did put some money bags on the table. So that might be quite interesting. They could actually be criminals. That would be an interesting backstory to what they would be. If you have a backstory as well, then please let me know, because I love to hear about backstories. I have some really creative people which let me know the backstories as to what they'd imagine the people to be like living here. It's really interesting actually, because everybody does have a different idea, and I love that. I just love that everybody can contribute and everybody can say what they're thinking. I just adore all that. This is when I was putting a little seating area just in the bedroom here. I think that this would be to discuss how the other is looking, potentially. It could actually be. And I don't know, that's why I put a mirror in. I always like mirrors in the grand bedrooms. I just feel like it makes it look grander, having a full mirror on the floor. There's just something about full mirrors. I'm trying to think if I've ever had a full mirror in my room before. I don't think that I have. I used to have a really cool dressing table growing up though, where I used to keep all my makeup in my dressing table, and that was just an amazing thing to have, because it just meant that it just wasn't out in the open, and after a while I could just put the stuff away. I could separate it into different places. I love that. In fact, I really wish that I had a proper dressing table now, because what I actually have is I have a situation where my fiance and I, or my husband and I, depending on what day you're watching this on, because I'm getting married really, really soon. But I think in terms of my house at the moment, we just don't want to invest any money into it, because it's just getting to the point where we don't know where we're going to be in months' time, years' time. We just don't know if we're still going to be here. We might be somewhere else completely differently. That's probably the case at the moment. We could go back to England, we could move to America. It just completely depends. But I think in terms of that, we just don't want to invest in dressing tables, things like that, or even rent furniture, because we live in the countryside as well. It just wouldn't be practical to start renting things. We're not doing that. But what I have at the moment is I have this really, really big mirror, and I just have my makeup bag right next to it. But the problem I have is that my dog can unzip my makeup bag and he can get in. And oh my gosh, he's ruined so much of my makeup in the past. He just loves chewing on it. And it's always my lipsticks. It's always the most expensive ones he goes for as well. He has the most expensive tastes in everything. He doesn't just go for the cheap ones. And of course, if I could change one thing about my dog, it would definitely be that. But I still love him and he's very, very cute. In fact, I can't fall out with him. I don't know if anybody else gets this with their pets, but honestly, I feel like I can't fall out with him because I just love him so much, and the look he gives me afterwards, it's just like, he's so sorry. It will never happen again, even though I know perfectly well that it will probably happen a day later. But anyway, this is when I was doing the hallway upstairs. I wanted it to be a little bit interesting, so I put a piano in there. I think that I wouldn't imagine the girls to play it, but I would definitely imagine maybe somebody hired to come play the piano. That would be something interesting. I was actually thinking about having a pianist for my wedding, but it turned out, and this was really odd, there was no piano available in the whole hotel, and they did actually have one, but they refused to move it. The hotel itself has been quite nice and friendly, and that all happened up until we handed them over the money, and then they got really unhelpful when they knew that they had their payment and they didn't want to do anything else for us. So if you're ever getting married, definitely be careful of that. I'll probably explain what happened in another video. But it's super, super sad because it just feels like they don't want to do anything for us now. But anyway, I was just finishing off the last bits and bobs to the lounge area. It's a pretty big area. But that is the end of the build. So I really hope you enjoyed it. And I hope to see all future videos. Thank you so much for watching. And I will speak to you all soon.